And here we are. This is Here and Now with Steve Struggle of
Thank
the
you.
Doctors, and myself, Dr. Abrahim of the Jewish Socialist Bund, which dates from 1897, actually, even though a lot of most Jewish people have forgotten that the Bund existed. And certainly they were not reminded of it, by the Zionist movement. But we're here, and we are on the edge. We are on the edge. We are the edge, the cutting edge of social change here and now. And we're waiting to see what's going to be happening with Iran. Now, Trump gave the Iran 1 week's notice. If they don't capitulate to all the demands of the United States of America, then they're going to be attacked. And they've got two aircraft carriers there waiting to do the job there. Now, Russia and China have told them, no, no, you can't do that. And China has its own navy there, and Russia has who knows what. So perhaps the Trump administration is going to say that Iran has conceded to all of its demands and they've won the contest without having to go to war, because secretly, actually, they're afraid of Iran. So, I expect that Trump is going to back down and not Iran. And Trump is going to just say, oh, well, they've conceded, uh, their 60%, their enrichment uranium process, which was at 60%. Now they're going to be reducing it, diluting the uranium to 20% to be used in nuclear reactors only. Okay, that's probably what's going to happen, and Trump is going to have to back down and use as an excuse, even though he's trying to get rid of Iranian missiles, which they cannot control and which they have no defense against. So, what do you think is going to be happening, Steve?
Well, man, actually, I really don't know. I wrote an article about it last week. I did a story last week about it, and the focus of my story was the cowardly nature of their so-called negotiations. You sit down with somebody and threaten them in one venue, but then you're negotiating with them in another venue. Now, to me, you're setting up a situation when you do that where I'm going to say, well, hey, you know what? I thought you were serious about negotiating. Here you are killing my people over here. I'm out of here. So the United States, people need to remember what was Marco Rubio talking about last week in Munich, Germany, 2 weeks ago. We want to go back to the days of colonialism. And that's all
Uh,
this. That's all. Is that right? The great. There
yeah,
was no. There was nobody who was mentioned who wasn't a white European, right?
yeah,
Now, I'm not saying the Enlightenment didn't bring some science to the world, but there was science before the Enlightenment. There have been science after the Enlightenment, and the slave trade and the Renaissance, all that stuff was based on the trade in black skin, theft of the silks from China, rape of India, you name it. They did it. The carving of Africa, the Berlin Conference, one of the most hideous acts on humanity in the history of humankind. You're going to take a continent and divide it among yourselves. Marco Rubio says that's good. So I figure that's what they're trying to do with Iran. The problem is, man, if this thing starts, unless it goes very, very badly for Iran, it's going to, at the minimum, be a stalemate. At the maximum, it's going to be a victory for Iran. The
mm,
United States and Israel can't win the war.
mm,
So it's in Iran. So they say they're willing to allow inspectors at their sites to see that there's no uranium being enriched. If that's what they say they were willing to do as a concession, if they say that, then what's wrong with America accepting that? Nothing. They said America wants it their way or the highway. They're not going to stop supporting the Palestinians. They're not going to tell you what kind of missiles I can have, what kind of missiles I can do. I can have missiles for as long as I want to do. The United States is scared some missile might hit the White House. That's what they're scared of. So, or maybe, or be good enough to find Mr. Netanyahu next time in Israel.
Yeah.
Because so I'm critical of the United States being a bully and a threat to humanity, and we have a right to live another way, and we need more people in the world to get involved to help us do that. So that's my call. Get involved to help us have a new way of living, a new system that humanity can live in peace and have development and cooperation without threats of war and nuclear machines heading over to another part of the world to bomb somebody. That's no way to live. That's not cool. That's not a good life. It isn't for humanity.
Mm.
And because the US says I can do it, I can do it. No, it's not like that. And also Jeffrey Epstein did not make it to Iran, did he? No, he did
No.
not. Okay. They wouldn't let him in the country.
If he
So,
got in, he wouldn't get out.
he wasn't getting out. Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's think about that too. So that's what I think about the situation with the war. And Russia and China have a mutual defense pact with Iran, and they're going to keep it.
Yeah.
Russia and China have mutual defense pact, and the Chinese surveillance boats around there. I don't know I don't know who has the most or whatever, but they agreed to help. So now it's a little different.
Yeah. Yeah. And they're setting up a BRICS pact of uh, of international security cooperation on the waterways. BRICS is setting up a military defense pact, actually, against the United States of America. That's what's the response has been to these threats against Iran. So, the United States is doing itself damage, in effect, by threatening Iran in this manner, because they've,
I mean, you got look here, man. You can't be just threatening people. I
yeah,
mean, this is. I'm going to say to you that this is the act. These are the acts of criminals. That's how criminals operate.
yeah,
Criminals operate with threats. Criminals operate with drive-by shootings and bombings and subversion of the economy. Blackmail. That's the way the gangsters operate. So whatever BRICS has to do to defend itself and maintain its real sovereignty, not sovereignty that says I'm sovereign but I'm doing what someone tells me to do. With sovereignty is how I want to run the country. I'm respecting human rights. Take a look. We got real democracy here, and shut up and get out of my face.
yeah,
So I mean, I think Rich is doing a good job. All things being considered. I appreciate them for the forward movement on them that they're making.
yeah. Do you have do you have your article set up there to be shared? Can we have a look at your article?
Which one, brother?
The one that you wrote, that you mentioned that you wrote on Iran.
Oh no, let me see. Let me see if I can get it. I can't get it. Just give me a couple of minutes.
Okay. I can
Look,
mention
yeah,
while you're looking, that, you
please,
know,
yes.
the uh, the uh, the excuses, the pretexts, that the West uses against ex-colonies, to try to discredit them and to justify, an invasion and occupation and recolonization. It's all, like so fabricated. The most blatant example that I can remember right now, like is with respect to Russia, in which Putin is criticized, attacked as being a dictator. Well, like how could he be a dictator if he was actually elected, by a solid majority, more than 60%? He has a degree of popular support, by the polls, which ranges from 70 to 80%. And meanwhile, Zelensky is sitting there, like since 2024, he hasn't had any legitimate right to call himself the president of the Ukraine. And it makes the excuse, that no elections can take place, because there's a war happening. Well, how did Russia take an election, during a conflict, if it's not possible to have an election during a conflict? And if Ukraine was going to have, election, like most likely Russia would like to see it happen, because Zelensky was not likely to be the president again. And there's probably somebody coming up, who has something rational to say in order to end the war. So, it's that kind of demagogy that is prevalent. And because, the news media, the regular television news reports, only broadcast, basically what this press release, emitted, by the White House has been, well, then people don't find out anything else other than the lies that are being propagated. So, that's one example of the lack of reality that is fed to the American people and to all the populations in the West. They all get fed that sort of thing, except for the young people who are on social media and they're finding out all this sort of stuff and they're reacting in an appropriate manner, including the young Jewish population, which are in the majority against the uh, genocide of Gaza, against the occupation of Gaza, against the occupation of the West Bank. They're against all of that, but those Jewish machers, as they're called, the Jewish Zionist, elite that control the funds of the Jewish communities everywhere. They're not going to let, the young Jewish voice, take over anytime soon. So that's the way it is.
Yeah,
And
it is that way, and it's really I think the youth by using social media are a little bit freer from the brainwashing than the mainstream public. What do you
yeah,
think?
yeah. I mean, when you get because the regular media wasn't showing any images of babies being torn apart by bombs, that came from Israel's American planes. No, they're not going to show that on television news, but on social media, they saw it and they said, what's going on here? They didn't agree to that sort of thing. So, it had its effect. Social media is key. And now social media is getting more viewers, than regular television news media. So, it's a different story now. Nowadays, we have an alert, although an alert and conscious population, which wasn't the case before. So, do people want to have a war on Iran? No, no. That's another thing that's holding Trump back. I don't know what
Yeah,
the
well,
but
if Trump, I mean, plus if Trump loses, see, if Trump loses the war,
uh,
he'll look like, I mean, okay, let's first of all, I'm sorry, I'm unable to find that document, and I'm sorry I can't read it right now.
okay.
Um,
But
but
you
I
were
did
mentioning,
I did want to see I did want to say something about Trump though, which
yeah,
people may not be aware of. Trump's been hitting people with tariffs around the world. I'm gonna raise this. I'm gonna raise this. I'm gonna raise the price of this to make money and rip you off and charge American consumers more money. We did a story. I did a research about this a couple of days ago. The reason why it's important is these tariffs is what Mexico claims is why it won't send Cuba the oil because Trump is threatening 100% tariffs against Mexico if it brings. Well, now that the tariffs are illegal. So Cuba, go on and send them the oil, okay? Stop messing around. Put some Pemex oil in the boat and send it over there right away.
Yeah.
This tariff thing, Supreme Court said it is illegal. So if there was a serious trade union movement or just a mass consumer movement, American families, about 130 million of people in America, have been overcharged at least between $1,000 and $1,800 for increased price of goods since Trump came to office with these tariffs. Now
Wow.
that's over. I think it's all between that's either half a billion to $1 trillion that Americans have paid more money
Uh-huh.
because of these tariffs. And what I'm hoping is that this tariff thing can backfire on Trump. So that even though I'm not really into the elections, I mean, I'm not into it. However, if the Republicans can get kicked out of Congress, that's great for me because they're all a bunch of racists and fascists. So I
Mhm.
encourage anybody in the United States who is listening to this or watching this, let's start a movement around these tariffs. We would charge all this money for orange juice. You know how much orange juice costs a gallon, man? Orange juice costs $9 a gallon in this country right now.
Whoa.
Orange juice, double the price of gasoline, and that's only because of Trump's tariffs. Everything went up in the grocery store. Price of a car, $14,000 for an automobile
Whoa.
because of the tariffs.
Wow.
So this cash really wrecked the economy with so many people. The credit card interest rates have gone up, but everything's gone because of these tariffs. And I want to tell people that people, if say you're overseas, you ain't in the United States, get your country to stop trading with the United States for a little while. Do what you can because these tariffs are illegal. They never were legal. He just can't do that. There are limitations of what he can do. And Supreme Court, which he thought he had it going on with the Supreme Court, they said, no, you can't do that. He claimed it was some kind of emergency and we had to raise tariffs. So I'm just saying as people can know, this is a weak point. If we can get a movement going around the money that people lost, and we need them to cut, we need the IRS to cut me some checks right now for $2,000. I get my money back. That sounds crazy, but it's legitimate. Man, if you don't do it, come election time, vote every Republican out of office, every single one, because we were ripped off. It was illegal. It was illegal against U.S. law, and we had to pay out of our pockets between
Mm.
$1,200 and $2,000 per family, and 130 million U.S. families. Let me do the math right here. Hold on, I got my calculator right here.
Okay,
So we
I'll give
got
you a story about these tariffs, because I sent a present, from some embroidery from Palestine and jewelry from Nabatea, that is in Jordan. The original people of Na Jordan are Nabateans. While I was there, I picked up these articles to give some revenue to the local people who made them and brought them back and never had a chance, to sell them. Besides, I don't need to sell them. So I've been sending them out as presents. And I sent a present down to the Bundes family in Phoenix, Arizona. And, I go to the Canadian post office and they say, oh, you want to send something in the United States? You have to do it through a new program, uh, computer program that the United States has set up. And you have to register, any package that you want to send into the United States with this program. So I go to the program and I choose, present, that I want to send down to the United States, and it doesn't work. They say, take a picture of your present so that it can be evaluated to determine whether or not it's a present. Okay, so I take a picture, send it in, no response. Okay, so then I start the program all over again, and in order to get the package through, I just, call it a regular package. And they charge me the tax, the tariff. I am taxed as a Canadian for something that I'm sending for free to friends in the United States of America.
right.
So
That's
it's
right.
$12.43, that was charged. So then Congress, of course, wouldn't accept that. And Congress has the jurisdiction. And then the Supreme Court that Trump had set up with his accolades, actually voted against Trump and said, no, this was illegal. These tariffs are not legal
Right.
because Congress has not approved them. And so, the same day, my package, like was sent off. And, I send back and I get a notice, by email, and I send back a message saying, "Hey, you have to reimburse my $12.43, because it's not legal." And they say, "Oh, well, the package has been sent off already." I say, "I don't care if it's been sent off already. You have my $12.43, and I want it back, because it's not legal. That's theft." And
Right.
then,
It is that. Right. Right. Exactly. Matter of
and
fact,
so,
all the money that was charged on those terrorists to be refunded around the world.
yeah, yeah. So then,
Yeah, man. I'm telling you, man. People need to put their foot down on this, and just
yeah,
even if it doesn't happen, make the point that if we keep making that point, just like we did in Minnesota with ICE and Border Patrol, this is wrong.
yeah.
You're ripping people off, and now you got the money, and you don't want to give it back. I want my money back. I looked at it'll be $208 billion. Two hundred
Oh,
eight, but if it's $1,600 per person, if the lowest 1,000, the highest 2,000. I'm gonna say $1,600 a person,
yeah.
and per family, and 130 million families. That gives you $208 billion.
Wow.
That was ripped off from the people. And where is it going? Where's it going? Where did the money go?
Yeah. In the
Somebody's
military.
pocket.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
wants another $1 trillion to update the nuclear bomb
yeah.
arsenal. I guess he wants to go
Hmm.
back to 12,000 nuclear bombs instead of the 5,000 that are sort of, kept as maximum by the START treaty. But now the treaty has been expired. There's no treaty. So
There's
Trump
no,
can,
that's
go back
dangerous,
up.
bro. That's
Very
dangerous,
dangerous.
man.
Yeah.
Because what he's saying is, if there's no treaty, what he's saying is anybody can shoot off a nuclear weapon anywhere they want.
Oh, yeah, nuclear testing as well, like it can be resumed.
Right.
Another
So
using the excuse of a Chinese supposed, nuclear explosion in 2020. They've raised this thing, even though the International Commission that monitors, nuclear explosions, said that there was no such, nuclear explosion. And, the
well,
United States is still saying, "Oh, it was a
they,
nuclear test, and we're going to do nuclear testing too if China's doing nuclear testing."
Well,
Oh,
these guys are liars, and
yeah,
that's something else people got to realize that you're dealing with a government that's full of liars and racists. Like Jesse Jackson was a civil rights leader, worked with Dr. King, and he died recently. And the Congress said his body could not lay in state inside the rotunda of the U.S. government. Now that is a historical offense
yeah,
against the civil rights movement, and this is Black History Month.
yeah,
So I'm just saying, whatever they can do to lie and cheat and slander and promote white supremacy
yeah,
and American supremacy is what they're going to do. So
yeah,
it comes to the war. I hope the U.S. loses the war. I hope the U.S. is defeated, and they
yeah,
sink all the aircraft carriers and just sink them all and be done with it. I don't care because they're
yeah,
not doing anything to help me or the oppressed people. They need to get the hell out of the Persian Gulf. They need to get out of that area, leaving people alone. But since
yeah,
they won't do that, they're gonna get a bloody nose.
yeah,
And Iran. All Iran has to do is just they can't overthrow the gut. No, you can't bomb into submission.
yeah,
That's not gonna happen.
yeah,
No, they think they can do this. This is what they think they can do this.
yeah,
And unless they plan to do another Venezuela, and the problem with the Venezuela is if Venezuela was a surprise attack, at least ostensibly a surprise attack, Iran is not going to have no damn surprise attacks. No, they're not. Mm-mm, no.
mhm.
No,
Well,
no, no. No,
like
that ain't happening. Plus,
Trump knows that they can be hit hard. So most likely they will just claim that they won the negotiations with Iran, and Iran is, going to dilute its uranium and all that.
you know what?
But
That's a very good point. No one has even said that. No one has made that point. It's possible they'll just lie and
yeah,
say that or say some crap they won and we're not going to fight. Yeah. You
yeah,
know what? That's a good point. They might
yeah,
just say that to save face because they're going to get a bloody nose.
yeah.
Israel's going to get hit.
Oh,
Israel's going to get hit. Some U.S. bases are going to get hit. Yes, they
yeah,
are. It's going to happen. So they can try to come in through. I heard that they're trying to come in through Turkmenistan, which really,
Uh,
if that's true, you see, a few months ago, Turkmenistan, Kazakhstan, and Kyrgyzstan met. They were invited to the White House. Now, there's a internet site called Rybar. It's a white nationalist Russian. Is a very anti-immigrant um, um, Telegram channel, but they keep up with the former Soviet bloc countries. They keep up really good with it. And they were saying that the United States is really trying to woo Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, and Turkmenistan into the U.S. orbit. And then he invited three of those four countries to the U.S. to the White House about, I don't want to say 6 months ago. And now the word is that the Green Berets are trying to come into Iran through the Turkmen border with Armenia.
um,
So yeah, gotta watch with these guys. I'm not.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
I
they
can see,
because
I can see them, claiming that if they get hit, if they go ahead, like, and they hit Iran, because Iran, doesn't hasn't conceded enough, not enough, like Venezuela did. So, if they take the hit and then they say, "Oh, look, we've been hit, we have to retaliate," and then they'll go all out. They could also go for that, instead of just claiming, that Iran is back down. It could be one way or the other, like. It's all up in the air. It's really sort of, and if Israel gets hit, they couldn't care less. So, that's not the issue for them.
true,
So it could
true.
be a all-out war, or it could be, like a fake ultimatum from Trump because he does that sort of thing. But Canada isn't backing down like Venezuela. Coca-Cola and Pepsi, who got their free fresh sweet water from Canada for free, no more, like and when the price of Coca-Cola and Pepsi goes up, like then people are going to freak out, no? Like and then Canada has uh, you know changed the direction of the pipeline. Now the pipeline is going to flow to the Pacific, where it's going to be picked up by boats going to Japan, South Korea, and China. Whoa. Well, and then there's the electricity. Like if Trump wants to retaliate against Canada and shut down all, like imports or increase the tariff, well, then Canada can put tariffs too. Increase the price of electricity, increase the price of whatever, that goes down to the United
Whatever you want
States.
to do, man,
Like
just do it.
Boston, like is lit up, from the electricity that it gets from Quebec, from the Churchill Falls, like hydroelectric project there. If
That's all you have to do, man.
that's
That's all
that
you
can
have to
happen.
do.
Like Boston can be shut down. Like just like that. And there's nothing to stop, Canada from doing so. If the United States takes retaliatory measures against Canada that are serious, well, Canada's in a much better position to retaliate.
They sure are.
Yeah.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. A very good position. Very good position. I wish they would go on and make this happen. They need to go make it happen, man, and kind of
Well,
take care of business at hand because
yeah.
Trump is showing he's not playing, and the Epstein scandal is gonna get him eventually. You know,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Epstein scandal is gonna get yes, yes it is,
He's being
yes
brought
it
down by
is.
Epstein. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, look at what happened with Prince Philip. Now he's Philip Mountbatten. Now he's in jail for basically sharing state secrets with Epstein.
Yeah. He was in jail for 10 days. Then they got him
Yeah,
out on,
yeah,
on
but I'm saying, when has a royal been jailed? I heard it hadn't happened since 1600s,
yeah. Yeah.
in 400 years.
The only time a royal was arrested was Charles II, and then he was beheaded as well. And now we
Yeah.
have a Charles III. uh, well, so he had to do something. This, the Britain had to sort of do something against Prince Philip for that reason. Otherwise, the whole monarchy would have been discredited, and there would have been no successor to Charles III. The monarchy would have been abolished as a result. So they're trying to
Right.
preserve the monarchy, by arresting, this prince. He's no longer prince, like Philip, whatever it is.
Whatever his
Philip,
freaking
what's
name
his name?
is.
Like,
Whatever his name is, this guy, man.
yeah,
I mean, these guys are they're so sick. They're just disgusting people, man. I mean,
yeah.
seriously.
They're
They're not
so
good people at all,
arrogant,
man.
incredibly arrogant people who think they can get away with this. No way, no how,
But
no more.
they see the thing about it is, man, they have been getting away with it. That's the problem. They have been getting away with it, man.
Yeah,
That's the thing. They have been getting away with it. So, you
yeah,
know,
but no
that's the
more.
thing. They have been getting away with it. So, people have got, like I said, with that money thing. If everybody in the world started talking about the money, the United States owe every capital. We would charge more money for this, more money for that. We sent the United States these tariffs we were being charged. We want our money back. Just have a temporary cessation of trade with the United States. Who cares?
Yeah,
Just,
but
just,
but
just do it.
since the American dollar is going down, the Canadian dollar compared to the American dollar has gone up 4 cents, 4% in the last while. American dollar
Nice.
is taking a dive with respect to other currencies, which means that not only are there the tariffs that Americans have to pay for now, but Americans have to pay higher prices because the American dollar is not worth as much when they buy stuff, from other countries.
You
So,
see, you see,
whoa,
you
yeah, it's
see.
getting serious. Yeah,
It's getting serious. The world it's not looking good. And Donald Trump been the main one messing it up, and he's trying to do something at the White House, make it a ballroom and all kind of crap. This board of peace. He's trying to start and charge people $1 billion to join the board of peace. It's just nonsense. And people have got us. We need more people to get involved every day to make this world the kind of place it needs to be. Because we can't do it alone. We can't do it with 10 people. We need millions of people. We need
yeah,
hundreds and thousands, tens of thousands, and millions of people. People got to step up, man.
yeah. This board of peace, what a joke.
What a
Trump,
joke.
I hear, has made himself, like the chairman or the president of this
Yes.
board of peace permanently. And only he can resign. He cannot be removed, from this position as the president of the Board of Peace. And he's proposing that this Board of Peace replaces the United Nations as well. Whoa.
Screw that guy.
Now he wants to be
Tell
king
him.
of the world. Okay. Like a nice try, but no, I don't think
Well,
it's going to work.
remember, he said, "I rule the United States and I rule the world." He's quoted saying that. When
Wow.
did he say? Yeah, let me find when he said this. Yeah. When did Trump say, "I rule the world"? He did. Yes, he did last year. He did.
Wow.
Yeah, let me see if I can find it.
Incredible.
Yeah,
Now,
I rule the world. I run the country and the world. April
wow.
28th, 2005. President Trump shared his thoughts on how his two terms have differed. The first time I had two things to do: run the country and survive. I had all these crooked guys, Trump said. And the second
Wow.
time, I run the country and the world.
Okay.
Quote.
Hmm. Wow.
So he definitely is the egomaniac,
Have you looked up
narcissist.
his popularity poll recently?
Let's see. What's
Yeah.
Silver News?
It
This
used
is
to be
what.
like 40% or 38%. And then
Let's
on
see what's.
Venezuela, he was down to 30%. And then
Let's
he
see.
was on other issues back up to 40%. I wonder what's going on now, like with American popular polling. This would be interesting to know because I think that, any American now, can realize, that Trump is getting, the country into trouble, that this cannot work, that he's overstepping himself and that he's, mouthing off, because he thinks that he can get away with it, but not with the Epstein files out there. And what is it,
Well, he has a approval rate as low as 38%. That's his lowest.
Yeah, it's still at 38%. Boy, he's got a
Right.
solid base of support there. It's still
Well,
not,
buddy, yeah, he does. He has a solid base of MAGA fascists who support him, and
wow.
and therefore his rate of disapproval is as high as 62%.
Oh,
So upwards of 6 out of 10 Americans don't like his ass, and downwards of 4 out of Americans do. That's the long and short of it.
yeah, yeah.
That's long and short of it.
That's still pretty strong, like even 40%, he can get away with a lot, like
Yeah,
40%. But
well, yeah, it is.
he just lost the
It-
Supreme Court, which he had built himself. So,
yeah,
that's an
he
important
and
indication. So,
inflation's down 25%, the economy down 17%, trade down 17%,
wait a
immigration
second.
down
Inflation is
26%.
down or up?
No, his rating on inflation on the issues he's down. He lost 25% rating on that.
I see. Okay. Because inflation is increasing, actually, isn't it?
No, yeah, inflation ain't going nowhere, man. Inflation's going nowhere. Okay, it's just not going anywhere. It's just it's like I said, about half a gallon of orange juice costs $8.75 for a gallon of orange juice. Double the
Yeah.
price of gasoline. It's just no fucking way. You have to make gasoline. You have to go through all this crap. And orange juice made out of orange in the machine is $9.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Come on, man. I'm,
What
I'm
was the
sorry.
price of gasoline before and now? A gallon of
Well, it depends
gasoline.
on it depends on okay, well, hold on a second.
Because that's the sort of the lifeblood of the United States, gasoline. Yeah, Americans and their cars. Like they love their cars more than they do their wives.
Is the
So
wife.
gasoline is the key. If gasoline
Well, let's
uh,
see.
goes up,
Gasoline in January of last year, it was $3.08, between 3.08 and 3.20.
for a
Now
gallon.
let's see what it right. Let's see what it is now. 2.6.
Then there's
Now it is was 3.08 then, and now it is 2.81. So the gas has gone down. It,
gas has
it,
gone
it, yeah.
down.
Well, yeah. I mean, according to this, the average price is 2.81. So it lost 40 cents a gallon. But it depends on where you buy it. But it looks like gas has gone down in price. It looks
Oh,
like diesel's ridiculous. Diesel used to be cheaper than cheap. Now it's like almost $4 a gallon for diesel.
okay. So
So
that's gone up,
yeah, yeah.
and that's the whole commercial transportation system
Yeah,
there.
yeah, oh yeah, yes, it is. It is,
Okay.
man. It is.
Uh,
Yes, yeah, yeah. Let
yeah.
me see. Let me see. I'm gonna try it. See if we can see some ink. How about
In,
diesel?
in the meantime, I
Diesel
want
is
to wish all the Muslims Ramadan Karim, Ramadan Mubarak, and I am fasting myself, for the seventh year in a row for Ramadan,
all
together with
right.
my Palestinian friends.
All right.
And usually in the month of Ramadan, the United States or Israel attacks, because they figure, that the population is going to be weaker.
Well, you see that isn't that just the most disgusting way of fighting a war?
Yeah,
To think about it, I'm gonna kill you when you're fasting. It's just there's something about someone who fights like that, you know?
yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah,
somebody who thinks that they're losing and that they're desperate, for something or other, that'll give them the advantage. They're looking for anything that'll give them the advantage because they know that they're in the decline. They know they're going down.
Right. It's true. That's true. You're right about that, man.
Okay, so this is uh, this is a turning point here now. If there is a bloody war, the United States and Israel are going to lose. If there isn't a bloody war, the United States will continue to decline. There's no way out of it. This is the turning point.
Let's hope
And
so.
the Prime Minister of Canada, Charney, like he knows it, and he's telling everybody about it too, like he did at Davos. And so Canada has
Mhm.
got, a uh, a polished up image now in the world. So if Canada's, breaking from the United States, well,
Well, come on, man. The world needs, like I said, we need people to step up and
yeah.
break, because they took your money from around the world, and now you're trying to give it back to you. They're openly calling for new colonialism. They're hailing the age of vicious white supremacy, racism, the slave trade, theft of linens and silks from India and China. Okay,
Mm.
spread the opium wars, the whole thing, man.
Oh,
Okay.
the opium wars, like really. That was when
Mm-hmm.
the gunboat diplomacy was at its maximum,
And
when the
maximum, buddy.
British forced China to import opium and put everybody and turn its population into addicts. And in exchange for the opium, they were getting, everything else, uh, all the manufactured resources of China, silk, all and all the jewels and everything else, that they got, that made the West rich and allowed the West, to develop, its industry and its technology, to a point where it was able to dominate the world for quite a while because of the richness that they have, exploited from the third world. And then they say the third world, isn't developed. Well, how did they got developed in the first place was with the riches of the third world. So that doesn't count. It doesn't mean that they have, a superior intellect as they claim. No way. No how. Okay, they think they're going to recolonize the world because the Soviet Union isn't around, to defend all the countries that became independent, after the 1945. Well, that's not what Russia and China think. They're there, to back up Iran. And they're not backing down because they know that if Iran goes down, then it's their turn next. And
Your
North,
turn next, man.
yeah. And then the efforts, of Europe, to pull Russia out of the orbit of China and pull Russia into a conspiracy, to take down China. That's not
Well,
going to
that
happen.
that ain't happening either. That's not happening either, man.
No way.
Russia needs China.
Yeah.
Russia
And
doesn't need you. See, you were going to have these. I'm gonna tell you something about that. You're gonna have these guys in Russia. I'm gonna say a couple of things that people don't want to say. Who think they're white instead of Slavs.
uh,
Who just can't get enough American cold water and beer and Coca-Cola, and they
hmm,
want these American businesses. Let me say something to them Russians right now. I am in the belly of the beast currently. America doesn't give a damn about you. They will rape your daughters. They'll put pornography inside your son's head. They'll steal your resources, and the way that they disease your ex-president, Mr. Yeltsin. And I'm not laughing at Mr. Yeltsin. He was an alcoholic, and alcoholism is a disease. So I'm not laughing at Mr. Yeltsin, not at all. Americans will laugh at your leaders. They call them all kind of dirty names to your face.
yeah,
Why would you want to come up in here and do business with these people? I
yeah,
understand you may think the dollar's all great, but they don't care nothing about you. Now, have they opened up direct airline flights yet? No. Have they given me back your sovereign money they stole from your banks? No. Okay. Have they reimbursed the house that Obama stole from you that you own up in the New England about 10 or 15 years ago? No. Okay. And don't you think the CIA is behind killing all these generals? If
Mm,
Ukraine can't do that alone, no, they
mm.
can't.
Yeah, and
The
and
CIA is,
the oil
the
pipeline that
U.S.
was bombed.
Right?
Yeah,
Yeah. How
yeah,
about the pipeline? Right, the pipeline.
yeah,
You think that Ukraine did that alone? No. You can do who you can do any business you want. That's your business. I'm telling you, don't be thinking America has got anything good for you.
yeah,
Black people have been here since 1619. That has been 406 years. We know America pretty good. It's a
mm,
bunch of scammers, racists, liars, thieves, pornographers, rapists,
mm,
sick criminals. The best
yeah,
thing to do is stay away.
yeah,
Do business with Asia, do business with Africa. You can have U.S. trade if you want, of course, but until they open up, they give you your money back, take off the sanctions off your economy, open up your direct flights, then you're gonna see some friendship. Until then, be careful. And that's
yeah,
my statement about it. And I have all respect for you as a country, but
yeah,
America does not care nothing about you, man.
yeah.
They don't. I'm
Oh, yeah.
sorry.
America was sitting there watching the Second World War for 3 years, watching while Russia was being torn apart.
Mm-hmm.
27 million killed by the Nazis, who were in a campaign of extermination of Russians after they were exterminating the Jewish people. And the United States was just sitting there,
Sitting there watching.
oh, they claim that they were helping, they're lend lease, they're sending, materials, to Russia that they
Yeah, yeah,
needed.
yeah.
But Truman, when he was asked about this, said, well, his strategy was, that both Russia and Germany would be destroying each other while the United States was looking on. Okay. This was the American strategy. They were helping Russia only so that it wouldn't be defeated, so that Germany would be decimated as well as Russia. And then the United States, steps in at the end of the war, as the one superpower in the world, the only one with an industrial base left, except for Russia, which set up its war industries, just like it's done now, and is surviving the
Interesting.
sanctions of the United States.
Well,
So,
that's another reason why they learn from history, man.
yeah,
The United States can lift sanctions at a snap of a finger. I mean, if they're really serious about let's say you really want to end the Ukraine war. Here's what you do. Look here. I'm gonna sign this right now in front of you. Sanctions are over. I ain't gonna change. I can change it, but I'm not gonna. In 14 days, the law goes into effect. On day 15, let's have another conversation. So you got that would be okay. I'm waiting 15 days. Okay, start the airplane going again, and here's your money. Now let's talk about the Ukraine war. You see what I'm saying? You got to show something to give something. That
yeah,
would be a real negotiation. Here's your money back. Sanctions are gone, and the airplane flights can continue. Now, in 2 weeks, it starts. So let's let it go for a month. Let's meet back again in Geneva about this war. It'd be right then,
yeah.
that war will be over. That war will be over.
Russia should
That's it.
insist upon the sanctions being ended,
Yes, they should
just like-
insist upon the sanctions being ended
yes,
and with verification for at least some 30 days, some kind of legitimate verification. And once that verification is going, they got their money back and they got their airplane routes hooked up and they took
yeah,
the sanctions off the oil industry, then we'll sign a peace treaty, no problem.
yeah, and lifting of the financial sanctions, the end,
Yes,
the
yeah,
cutting off of SWIFT and transfers,
yeah,
is,
right,
like all
right.
that.
All that.
That should be the
that
precondition for entering into
that's the
negotiations.
precondition. That's
Where,
the
then
precondition.
they can
Unless you
negotiate, with somebody who's real, like who's honest, But no,
right.
they haven't done that. So these negotiations,
Or fake. You got
yeah,
negotiations, and
yeah,
you're killing my generals in my capital of my country. Get out of here, man.
yeah,
Now, Mr. Lavrov said, "We people don't want negotiations, dude. Negotiations are a farce." I ain't saying you. I'm not saying, Mr. Lavrov, that you aren't a great negotiator. I'm not saying nothing about your skill in international diplomacy. I respect that, but you're dealing with a dog. You're dealing with Baal. You're dealing with the devil. You're dealing with evil.
mm,
And since we know evil pretty good, you know, they helped 25 million people get killed. And then when the people who got killed, guess what they did? The people who killed your people took them down to Argentina and brought them to the United States. So,
mm.
and come on, man, you're right. They got to give up. United, if they were they're negotiating in good faith, they would do something to show Russia they got good faith, not just some conversation. Taking the
Yeah,
sanctions off this industry right now. Okay,
yeah. No.
give us
No,
30
no. Right
days.
after the Second World War, they formed an alliance with the Nazis to
Sure did.
defeat Russia, like, and they brought over 1,800, like Nazis, criminal Nazis that should have been hung.
Should have been
And they
hung.
brought
Yeah,
him into, the CIA and the
they sure
NASA
did.
and, uh, and all the rest of it, like that's the United States of America. That's what the United States of America is,
Right.
was, and is
And
still. Yes.
it
I heard
was and
something.
is still. Exactly. Yeah.
uh, I heard something about what happened, uh, to behind the assassination of Saif al-Islam al-Gaddafi in Libya.
Oh, well, what do you hear?
Well, the opposing administration in uh, in the east of the country was being led by this so-called General Haftar, who was a CIA asset. Okay, his son is looking to be, the president of Libya. And because Saif al-Islam al-Gaddafi, was the more popular candidate, his son of this General Haftar of the CIA is the one who helped to organize the assassination of Gaddafi's son. Incredible.
Interested.
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, this
Wow.
this recently came out because, like people were wondering, like who did this assassination of Saif al-Islam
Yeah.
al-Gaddafi?
Right.
So now the information that I see now, together, of course, like with the agencies, CIA and the British intelligence, who were involved, and French intelligence who were involved in the takedown of the Gaddafi government previously. So Libya is still under duress. It hasn't been able to get it together, since that assault. Unfortunately. And they
It
were,
is.
negotiating in good
Really is
faith with the
unfortunate.
United States. They were negotiating with the United States. The United States, like, sucked them into giving up their nuclear apparatus. And but because Gaddafi was still talking about, international anti-colonial, struggle, they brought him down because they wanted him to shut up, and he didn't. I was at the conference in Columbia University in New York City, when there was a supposed reconciliation under the Obama administration with Libya. And the ambassador Ross was there. And I asked him the question, if, the United States can negotiate in good faith, with Libya and come to mutual recognition and all that, why can't it do so, with Palestine? So then he
Sure
mouthed off
can.
10, 15 minutes, about something that was irrelevant. But as it turned out, they reversed all that. So I met this ambassador again on a video link, that was being done, from Israel, in which he came on, to sort of, fake good faith, like a type of image, that he was promoting. So I got him. I got him, like in there, and I asked him about this, and I told him, that I asked him previously, about this good faith that they had established, like with Libya supposedly, and then right after that, they destroyed Libya. So I said, like, oh, why should we have any faith in the United States, like seeking to help Palestine become a state under this two-state solution supposedly that they're proposing, which is fake as well. So, like he had nothing to say. He couldn't answer me. There was absolute silence on the tape, and it's recorded. I've got a copy, like and I just let him hang, like I didn't even sort of mouth off anymore, like I just sort of, waited for him to reply and he couldn't. So finally, the moderator had to say, well, I guess we have to agree to disagree. Certainly. Anyway, the United States, like under the Democrats, they fake, like humanitarianism, and then they do the opposite. And then under the Republicans, they don't fake it. They just, like mouth off and say whatever they want. And then they go ahead and do it. You know, well, I think that people sort of, should be aware that there is no hope in the Democratic Party, that the Democrats, who are serious about liberating the United States from the plutocracy, the oligarchy, and the kingdom of Trump, can have no hope in the Democratic Party. They will
No.
have to split and join with the Democratic Socialists of America and all the other movements that have been generated as a result and form a new movement that will take on the electoral process. It doesn't have to be a party, it's just a united front in which everybody agrees, on setting up the candidates everywhere that they can possibly do so. And then they can destroy the two-party system. And then the United States of America would be in a revolutionary mode. And that's the way to do it, I think.
There you go. I'm with you. So
Well, I
we should
hope it
use our
happens,
channel. We use our channel to promote this more often.
Yeah. And
Seriously, seriously.
everything depends upon you and the other, militants of the United States of America, to save the world, because, we can take on the United States of America, but we can't win. It has to be won from inside. It has to be an internal revolution that takes on the United States and eliminates this imperialist, regime. And we're looking
There you
forward to
go.
it. We expect that you're going to be able to do so. We believe,
We
we in the world,
must.
believe that you can take on, that Trump administration and get rid of it. And I think that it's,
Thank you.
moving in that direction, and we're supporting you
Thank
to
you.
do so. Yeah.
Thank you. That sounds good.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the week as it has been, and uh, and the week as we hope it will be. And our our podcasts here, I think, are helping to do so. But we have to ask our viewers to help us along because we don't have, access to all the avenues, of propagation, dissemination, and broadcasting. We need, the viewers, to help us by sharing and put it out on other platforms that we do not have access to necessarily, like my YouTube channel uh, of my own name is still banned by YouTube. I thought it was Microsoft, that owned YouTube, but it's not. It's Meta. I can't figure it out, because Facebook,
I thought
like
it was I I thought it was Google. I thought it was Google.
YouTube is Google.
I thought it was Google, but hey, I could be wrong too. I could be wrong.
Yeah, maybe it is. Like maybe it is Google, because Facebook, like doesn't discriminate, doesn't ban, like anti-Zionist, opinion. I have no trouble with uh, with YouTube. In fact, like my limit of 5,000, subscribers has been raised, so I have, more than 6,000 subscribers now, to my YouTube channel. And that's where I put out a lot of important political information. The documentation needed, to break through the censorship is contained in my YouTube channel. Not only information about the United States, but everywhere else as well, and both in the English language and in French. So, that's an important resource, that people can make use of my
Thank you.
YouTube channel. It's right there, right then, under my name. Okay.
Okay.
So, looking forward to what's going to be happening this week, and if there is, a breakdown in,
We'll do a show.
we'll do a show.
We'll have to do
If
a
there's a
show. We'll
war
do a
on, we'll
show.
come right back to you all.
We'll come right
Okay.
back. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Bye for now, comrade Steve. Good to speak
Bye
with
for
you
now,
again.
Comrade Abraham.
Yeah.
All right. More
You
power.
make my week.
Solidarity.
Very good.
Thank you.